Well, good morning. We're coming at you from the camper van here. I'm still camped out in Quartzsite, Arizona. The weather has been a little cooler than normal as opposed to previous years. It can kind of fluctuate, but it's been in about the mid 50s, although we're having a little warm up. It's getting up to the mid 60s for highs. Still cold at night, about 35 at night was last night, but that again is going to be warming up here in the next few days. And only had a couple really windy days here. The wind has been down a lot, which is very nice when you're in the desert. That can be an issue. If it's cooler and the winds are high, it can just make it to where you just don't want to be outside. Um, so anyway, I always get a lot of questions when I come down to Quartzsite this time of year or just in the Southwest deserts in general of what's the appeal, why would you want to be there, it's flat and boring and it can be crowded, what is the appeal, why would anyone want to be there for more than a day or two? And I just thought I'd touch on that a little bit. I've talked to a lot of folks that have been coming here for years, and I can share my personal experience. A lot of folks do like Florida. That is another winter destination for a lot of people. I know personally the family I have back east, a lot of them as they got older in their years, they had a snowbird mobile home or trailer down in Florida because they were from the state of Maine and just would make that winter snowbirding trek down to Florida to get out of those harsh winters in the Northeast. Down here in Quartzsite, you see a lot of folks that are here from Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Wisconsin, those cold Midwest, northern states. A lot of folks from Canada, Alberta, even Quebec, BC, come down here. They're retired aged and they just want to get out of those harsh, cold winters and enjoy some sunshine and warmer weather down here in the desert. And it's kind of tradition. Here in Quartzsite, there is an extremely large amount of public land where you can camp free. And then they also have these long-term visitor areas where you can pay $180 for a permit that allows you 7 months, which is September to April. And those long-term visitor areas, a couple of them have like the sewer dump, water, and trash. So you can long-term and not have to really leave your camping area other than going up front to dump your tanks and watering up and all that. So for those snowbird folks, this has become a tradition. They have their family back home up north, friends and family up there, but they also have their extended snowbird family down here that they've been camping with and building community with for many years on end. So it's something they look forward to, not only to get out of the weather, but also to see those people they haven't seen for the rest of the year through the summer months. So I know a lot of folks, they just get a lot of joy out of that. It's a whole nother, like I said, extended family and community that they come down here and just enjoy their golden years. It's really neat to see. One of the things I notice is everyone here is just so happy. These full-time, the snowbirds and as well as the full-time RV and travelers, everyone's just in a good mood and happy, and it's just a good, friendly atmosphere. And I really like that about it. And another big pull for a lot of people is we're very close to the Mexico border. There's a little tourist town near Yuma, Arizona. You can cross the border into Mexico. It's real easy, safe parking on the U.S. side. You can walk across the border. And a lot of folks go down there, including myself, for dental. You can get very cheap dental care there. And prescription meds you can get for pennies on the dollar compared to what a lot of people pay in the U.S., even with their insurance. So I know for many folks, it's an annual go down and stock up on your prescription meds. I go down there to get my teeth cleaned. It ends up being about $25, which is way less than anywhere I could find in the U.S., and they do a good job. And then I just have a couple prescription meds that I pick up. Stock up for the rest of the year. I know a lot of folks that their prescription meds are really expensive, so they can save a lot of money going down to Mexico. It's unfortunate here in the U.S. that that's the case. It really shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't have to travel to another country to get affordable medications, but it is what it is. Same with dental, so that's a big pull for me. And also in Quartzsite around this time of year, January, there is a couple big events that people really enjoy going to, and I'll talk about those. There's the annual Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. A lot of you have heard of that, some not. It's kind of a full-time nomad traveler meetup event where it's informational as well as community building. So there's seminars talking about topics that people on the road would be interested in, anywhere from like solar systems, solar power systems for your RVs or campers, boondocking tips, places to camp and learning how to camp for free on public land or next to free, very affordable, cheap camping options. All broad range of topics. So that's a big pull for a lot of people. That event really builds community for people that are out solo on the road. A lot of us out on the road, we're kind of introverted and enjoy our alone time. But I believe as humans, we all kind of need a sense of community, and a lot of people, including myself, gets that here, not only in Quartzsite, but at that Rubber Tramp Rendezvous event. So it's very important for me. I've done quite a few over the years. I've skipped a couple, but started going to those events in 2015, and I just continue to get something out of it every time. It's seeing those people that you don't see the rest of the year, exchanging stories of your travel and experiences, sharing places to camp with each other. It's just a very neat, special community, and it's important in my life for my well-being, my happiness, and it carries me out through the rest of the year when I'm more alone most of the time. So that's a big pull for a lot of people. There's also a big RV trade show, the Big Tent RV trade show here in Quartzsite. It's usually the second to last week of January. There's multiple reasons why people go to that. One of the biggest reasons for the people that I know and myself is that you can get a seasonal job there. It is a trade show. There's all sorts of stuff. People pushing their products and that, but there's also the concessionaires that do the campground hosting in all the campgrounds where you could secure a campground host job. The Sugar Beet Harvest has a booth there for the harvest work up in the northern states in the fall. Amazon Camper Force has a booth, as well as many other employers that are looking for seasonal workers that can travel to a different destination and stay for a little bit and work and make some money before they go on their way. And so that's important for me. I always like to go to that for the job fair portion, see what's out there, talk to the people, learn about the jobs, and if I'm interested, I can get an application. They've seen your face and talked to you in person. So usually people that are looking for a seasonal job can secure one during that event. So that's huge. That's a big deal for a lot of us non-retired folks. I hear for a lot of people, they see these videos on YouTube of people in downtown Quartzsite and visiting or camping in some of the busier camping areas, and they say, why would anyone want to be around those crowds? And for the reasons I mentioned, a lot of people for a short amount of time, they like being around all those people. Again, it's their community, it's their extended family, so it's not like you're just camped out with a bunch of people you don't want to be around. For the most part, RVers and full-time RVers, snowbirds are all just happy people in a good mood, and you can have great conversations. So that's, I think, the reason why people camp in those more crowded areas. There are areas you can go to. I'm camped somewhere I cannot see another camper for miles in any direction. I came out a little ways. I'm still pretty close to town. I can zip in on my motorcycle and go visit friends and other of the busier camps when I feel like it. But I have this retreat, this refuge to come back to. And again, I'll show you guys outside my camper here. There's just nobody in sight. I don't hear any other campers. I don't hear any road noise. It's awesome. So those places do exist in Quartzsite. You just got to poke around. So again, I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way. I feel like over the years I've never really taken the time. I always get those comments and struggle to have a proper response and just typing a short comment. So I thought I'd take a few minutes there and just talk about that. I hope that clears that up. Again, I know this still probably is not an area or experience that a lot of people would enjoy, but I would encourage anyone to come and experience it at least once. My parents actually surprised me and visited me at the Big Tent yesterday, so that was really exciting. They made the drive out from San Diego. They got a hotel in Yuma, and it was just a huge surprise. I did not know they were going to come, and it was just really, really neat to have my parents come out to kind of my world, my turf out here. So I'm going to carry on with my day here. Today is shower day. I'm going to get my shower tent set up. The wind is supposed to be down. It's a little warmer, so I'm going to show you guys how I do that. I don't know if I've showed that in the past, but I've got a little system for showering at camp. There are showers in town in Quartzsite, but they're usually pretty busy and cost anywhere from $5 to I think $15, depending on which one you use. So I just try to do it at camp. I bring enough water to do that. It is cool enough to where my little shower spray bottle, I'll show you that, doesn't heat up in the sun completely enough for a nice warm shower. So I boil a little bit of that water and just get it up to a nice warm shower temp. So I'll show you how that works, and yeah, a little glimpse around camp. All right, let's get outside. I'll show you around camp. Kelly has joined me. She joined me a few days ago. She's actually at the Big Tent show right now. She's an exhibitor at a booth there for the seasonal job she worked with as a tax preparer. I've been hanging out with her most of the days since the start of the event, but I needed to take a day off today. This is my camp here. As you can see, there is not another camper in sight. So many people think when you come to Quartzsite it's just crowded everywhere. And again, I touched on that earlier. A lot of those crowded spots, it's because people just want to be camped around other people. They enjoy it. I like to do it my way. I like to come out and find a very secluded spot. I cannot see another camper in any direction for miles. I am totally out here. Got this whole desert to myself. But yet I'm close enough to where I can just get on my motorcycle and have a short ride into town and the other busier camping areas to visit and socialize. And then come back here and have my little hideout. I picked this spot because it's near a wash. There's just a lot of more trees. We have the ironwood trees here, these bigger ones. These smaller green ones are the palo verde. A lot of creosote bushes and the big tall saguaro cacti. And I just love being surrounded by the mountains as well. It's neat out here. I really enjoy it. And there's just a level of freedom because there's so much public land. You are free to just go drive down any dirt road and explore and find your own little camp and call it home for a while. It's really awesome. I always get a lot of questions too is why I don't spend more time on the East Coast, on the eastern states. And I've done a few trips back there for sure. I've made videos on it. Did a winter in Florida and it was nice. Went up the East Coast, up to the Northeast. And it's just a little bit more restricted back there. There's a lot less public land, totally doable. Ends up being a little bit more expensive. You gotta move around a little more and sometimes pay for camping. Either that or kind of bend the rules a little bit, break some laws here and there, which I usually don't like to do, especially because I'm in the public eye when I post videos. I always get that question, how come there's no Nomad YouTubers on the East Coast? And there's a couple, but most of them are staying in pay campgrounds. And I've met a lot of other people that are full-time nomads back there. And but again, you kind of have to bend the rules a little bit, so probably would not be smart to post that and share that on the internet. You would get reported and probably fined. So I'd assume that's why. That's my guess. And for me, having traveled back there and spent a lot of time out west, there's just a level of freedom out here. It's a funny thing about freedom. Once you've experienced a higher level of freedom, it's hard to go back to a lesser level of freedom. And that's one of the reasons why I spend so much time out west. So we got a little fire pit here. I got my charcoal grill out. It's getting that cleaned up. I'm gonna grill up some burgers this evening. Have a little campfire. The wind has been down, so it's perfect time for it. So I'm gonna get working on getting my shower tent set up here. Still using the old spray bottle. I'll show you that. Showed this in some videos in the past. I've been using this since I hit the road back in 2014, 2015. It's just a weed sprayer bottle. This is a 2-gallon version. Painted it black so the water heats up in the sun. And I put a little sink sprayer nozzle on it. And this has worked great. The only problems I've had with this is you gotta be careful. If you leave this outside overnight and it gets down to freezing, I've had these sink sprayer nozzles crack and become unusable because of the expanding ice when it freezes. So if it's going to get down to freezing, I always got to remember to bring it inside the van. Other than that, this is the same one I've been using the whole time. It still works great. Fill that up with water, let it sit in the sun to warm up. And if it doesn't get up to a proper temp for shower, as warm as I'd like, I dump a little bit out into a saucepan, heat it up on my camp stove, pour it back in, and it's a nice steamy hot shower. So I'll work on getting my shower tent set up. I use this sink sprayer nozzle because it gives a nice stream there. Good for showering, and it's just push button. So you have to be holding it, which helps you save water. Be a little tricky just using one hand sometimes, but like I said, I just kind of rinse myself down, hang this up in my shower tent, soap up, grab the nozzle once I'm soaped up, and then rinse off again. I'm kind of realizing today how long I've had this shower tent. It's really held up well. This is just a Walmart brand Ozark Trail shower utility tent. And I think I picked this up around the time that I worked at Adventureland in Iowa, that amusement park. I did a seasonal job there, worked there for a summer. I think that's around the time I picked this up, maybe a little before that. So it's been a good 6-7 years, and it's still holding up just fine. So we'll get that set up. It sets up pretty easy, pretty sturdy against the wind. So we'll get that set up and show you what it looks like. All right, so there it is all set up. Works out pretty good. Really just helps break that wind. If you try to shower outside without the tent, the slightest breeze really gives you a chill pretty quick, unless it's really warm outside. Middle of summer, if it's in the 90s, I'll totally shower without this tent. And I use these big nails I got from Home Depot. The stakes that came with this were pretty flimsy. Out here in this hard desert dirt, I just take my little mini sledge, hammer those right in, it keeps it put. All right, so there it is all set up. I have had this tent for quite a few years and it's held up pretty good. I mean, these are the stress points right here where you clamp it to the tent poles. And I would imagine in pretty high winds, you could probably tear this up pretty easy. But I've been pretty diligent over the years to take it down when I'm done using it, kind of half take it down, set it on its side if I'm going to be using it again in the next couple days, if it's going to be windy. And then definitely don't leave it up overnight, because if the winds pick up overnight, it's a sure way to mangle up the tent. So yeah, it's served me well for the price I paid. I think I paid some 25 bucks for it, and it's lasted all these years. And again, the weed sprayer bottle has worked out really good. So now that this is nice and warm, when I'm ready to take my shower, I just bring it in here, pump it up really good, and that's enough pressure to get all wet down, soap up, and then I usually pump it up a few more times in between and then rinse off. Good to go. I never usually use more than 2 gallons for one shower. Oftentimes I can get 2 showers out of the 2 gallons. Just a very quick rinse down. And this tent's cool. It's got little pockets to put your soap and shampoo and stuff. And then I usually use this little footstool here to put my towel, leave my sandals out here, go in, shower up, and be able to grab my towel through the little opening and dry off and make my way back to the van. I don't know what it is about these showers at camp, but man, it is so refreshing. I feel like a new man. I'll show you what I do with the tent when I'm done. So when I'm finished up, I usually set the tent on its side so all the water can drain out, kind of tip it up on its side first. And it has these little vents here where the water can flow through. And once the majority of the water is out, I tip it on its side. The bottom can dry and the inside. That way I'm not packing it up while it's still damp and getting mildew in that. So it seems to work. I've been doing that over the years. So I'll probably let that dry out real good and get it packed up for the night. It's easy enough to set up and take down that I really don't mind doing it between each use. Gosh, that felt good. We are doing burgers tonight on the grill. Bacon cheeseburgers. Look at that, just about ready. Kel's fixing up the buns here. We got our fixins inside. It's all happening so fast. A little lettuce, tomato, onion. Gonna be good. What do we got going on here?
And we have French fries coming.
Oh, and French fries?
Don't forget.
From the air fryer?
Seasoned.
In the air fryer?
Yes.
Yes.